What is up? So about 2 months ago, I did a lift kit on my truck, put out a couple videos. A lot of you have seen them and liked it and engaged in the comment sections, which I really appreciate. A common question I get on those videos is how the truck feels on the road. So I figured I would take you guys along on the errands that I have to run this morning and kind of give you a glimpse on how the truck is on the road. So let's get going. Things that affect the ride quality of a car. The dampening is one of them, of the shocks. The other thing is the spring rate, and then there's things like you know, the wheels and tire selection, whatever that you have. I have BF Goodrich KO2s. They're at 35 psi, so they're not like crazy stiff. And there's a significant amount of sidewall on them because they're 265 70/17, so the sidewall is pretty good. It gives it a lot of cushion as far as the tires are concerned. So, but I had those on the stock suspension as well, so we'll disregard the tires that I have while we talk about the ride in the truck presently. So I couldn't really find too much on the dampening of the shocks, the difference between the standard TRD off-road Bilsteins and the Bilstein 5100s that I have on here currently. I wish I could speak to that because dampening does affect the ride quality, but I just couldn't find any information to really be able to share that portion of it with you. Spring rates, however, I did find some information on. So it appears that the stock springs have a spring rate of 550 pounds. I went with OME 2887 springs, so they give a 2-inch lift, but they're rated at 590 pounds. So they should be a little bit stiffer, and I think they are, because on just driving on the street, on everyday driving, when I'm driving to the store or the gym that I am currently, I feel the bumps a little bit more. I am not gonna lie. So all the little bumps, all the little patchwork that they've done in the road, you know, little potholes and stuff like that, I can definitely feel them a bit more than I did when it was on the standard suspension. So that kind of handles the front. The back is a different story. I still have 5100s in the back, but I didn't add a leaf, and that significantly stiffened up the rear end of the truck. It's quite a bit more harsh, if I'm honest. The truck does this thing now to where if you hit a bump and it's aggressive enough, it kind of shakes a little bit. Just because there's not much give in the leaf pack anymore. When there's a load, it's fantastic because you already have compressed it to a certain amount, and then it just becomes kind of soft, and I don't want to call it supple, but it becomes a lot more forgiving. But when you don't have a load in the bed, it's pretty rough, I'm not gonna lie. I have found throughout the course of driving it after the lift that the more aggressive you are with bumps, the softer it gets, which is not the case for the stock suspension. I'm gonna have to turn on my defroster because it's getting a little crazy. Hopefully that's not too loud for you guys. Now, this is a pretty windy road that I'm on. And it's obviously very, very wet right now. But it does feel I mean, for whatever this is worth, it does feel like you can corner maybe a little bit quicker. It's not as soft in the initial travel, so it kind of keeps you flatter as you go through the corners, at least it feels like to me. Which it just gives me a little bit more confidence when I'm on the road. Now I have some GoPros hooked up underneath the truck. Hopefully it's light enough to where it can pick up what the suspension is doing. Or roundabout. I think we will go straight over. It is unreasonably cold outside. Yeah, my gas mileage definitely seems to have gone down. I'm currently getting 15.4 mpg, and I'm about to need to refill. So this entire tank has been around 15.5 miles per gallon, which is quite a bit less than what I got before the suspension. I don't really know if that's purely down to aerodynamics, because you've obviously lifted the truck higher than, you know, what they intended for at the factory. I would imagine there's a lot of drag from different components underneath the vehicle when you do something like that. But that seems pretty drastic for something like that. I don't really know. But I just thought it was worth mentioning that has gone down. So to recap my thoughts on the lift on the road, it's definitely a little bit more harsh. You know, I feel all the little bumps quite a bit more than I did when it was the stock suspension. There's like these weird little jutters, I guess, that weren't there on the stock suspension. So it on the day-to-day just running around, it's definitely a bit more harsh. When it's off-road, or when you hit those bigger bumps, the suspension really pays off. It's once you really like kind of get it in its travel, it starts to feel a lot. Like, I'm gonna go over a big speed bump right now. Ooh, that was quite big, but it wasn't bad. I feel like when you really get this suspension traveling, it handles everything a lot better than it did when it was stock, which is the whole point of getting a lift kit, right? And upgrading your suspension. All right, well, it's time for me to hit the gym. If you guys like this video, like, comment, and subscribe, and do all that. I am trying to post videos weekly, so I will see you in a week.